Well, here on the Rural Radio Network, I'm Joe Gangwish. We're at the Market Journal Roadshows that are taking place around Nebraska this week. And visit with Tina Barrett. She's Executive Director of Nebraska Farm Business Incorporated. And Tina, let's talk about some of the things you had in your presentation, some of the top 5 things facing producers out there. Let's go through some of those.
Yeah. Well, number one for me was variability and the fact that not every operation's in the same boat. And there's some who, are still making money and some that aren't. And, anytime we talk about averages, it's just kind of the middle of the road, and some are below that and some are above that. And it's really important for each operation to figure out where they're at in and amongst that.
And that was, the variability was something that you really hit upon, because there is a lot of difference between especially young producers out there compared to those been in business a while.
Right. And I think it's hard, and it's something I can see when I work with individual farms, knowing that one brother's is very different from the next brother's, or their father's very different than the son's, and not even something I can necessarily share with them, but I can see that so much. And so I think it's really important that producers understand that. So
right. You mentioned variability. What were a couple of the others that we're facing right now?
So, I also think we have a cash flow problem in general. Again, not every operation, but about 18% of the farms that we work with have really good working capital position, and 24% came into this year with negative working capital. And so again, we have a variability, but a lot of operations in general are experiencing a cash flow problem. And while we're seeing rising debt, we're still seeing good equity. So, the good part of having a cash flow problem is that there's a lot of equity out there, and, some things that we can do with that. I also think we have a family living problem. Again, not every operation has that, but our average family living cost is $92,000. And just to give a little perspective on that, I've been trying to equate that back to a salary and give people an idea that it takes about $160,000 salary in order to have a $92,000 take-home check. And that's a tough job to find in Nebraska. And so I think it's important that people understand that this is not a normal way of living. So, and then we've got tight margins. And it's not shocking with prices the way that they are. And so it's going to take good management to work through those margins and work on that.
Let's get back on the family living expenses. That's kind of a tough pill to swallow, because we've been used to a certain standard of living here for a while.
It is. And it's personal, and so it hits their family, and that's always tough. And I know as a mother of 4 girls that it is hard when they talk about, I need this, I need this, I need this, and I hear it all the time. But it's also important that they understand, and that the whole family understands that if the number one goal of the family is to make sure that the farming operation stays in business, that it might mean we don't get all the wants that we've had or that we've been used to for the last few years.
Well, let's finish up with a working cash flow. You talked about that too, on how we, something that we can really work on and really work on year round.
I think so. I think a lot of times we see a cash flow as something we do with the bank, get the refinancing done, put it in a drawer and forget about it until next year. But I think it's one of those financial tools that could be utilized much more efficiently on the operations as a working cash flow, something that's updated regularly, because we all know that a cash flow that we create today is going to be wrong tomorrow, whether it's a market move or a cost change. And so it's something that we have to keep going back to and keep utilizing. But really a cash flow like that can really give us a lot of good information. And knowing that you have a negative cash flow is really going to impact the decisions you make every day, knowing that you have to be as good a manager as you can.
Of what you talked about today, what do you think would be maybe the most important, maybe the first step for folks to take out there that are experiencing the crunch right now?
Well, I think the most important thing is that you get your financial statements in order, that you know what your balance sheet looks like, that you know what your income on an accrual basis looks like, not what your tax return is going to look like, and that you know where you fit at in relationship to average. Because you may be in a position where you don't need to panic and do anything, or you may be in a position where you really need to take that red pin to every category and try and figure out how to cut costs. But because there's so much variability, it's really important that each operation figures out where they're at first.
Tina Barrett, she's with Nebraska Farm Business, Inc. here at the Market Journal Roadshows taking place around Nebraska this week. Here on the Rural Radio Network, I'm Joe Gangwish.